competing DACA and border security bills, Republican Will Hurd of Texas and Democrat Pete Aguilar of California. Congressman Hurd, let me start with you. First of all, on the president's comments in that meeting, do you condemn, do you disavow those comments?
Yeah, I wasn't there in the meeting. First off, I think any of those kind of comments aren't helpful to creating an environment in which we can actually get things done. I'm focused on working with my colleagues, and that's why I've been excited to work with Pete Aguilar on solving this problem. Let's have a DACA fix. Let's have some strong border security and get this done and move on to other issues.
Congressman Aguilar, the House GOP is already saying that House Democrats, such as yourself, who the last time I checked, and I could be wrong, are in the minority in the House, I believe that's correct, that you are responsible for an impending shutdown, and you don't care about chip recipients if the House GOP can't pass a CR here.
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's just not accurate. The responsibility of the majority is to govern, and so clearly that's what we need to see here. But even when it comes to shutdown, I mean, Republicans, 90 of them voted against a CR in September. So the obligation for Republicans in the majority is to govern and to put up those votes, and we'll see shortly if they have those votes.
There was something called the Hastert rule that guided the House, Congressman Hurd, for a long time, and basically it required that a majority of the Republican caucus, a majority of the majority, support a piece of legislation for it to come to the floor. I am willing to bet that the proposal you and Congressman Aguilar have come up with would pass in the next 5 minutes if you moved it to that floor just there. But I doubt it has a majority of the Republican caucus supporting it, so it's dead in the water, right?
I wouldn't say it's dead in the water. This is something that we've had a lot of conversations with our colleagues about. Nobody has ever questioned the validity of how this is helpful for border security, how this is a good protection for the 1.2 million kids that have come here through no fault of their own. Folks are seeing are there other elements, what can actually, what's the president want to see? There's a lot of questions, but what we've tried to do is put together a thoughtful plan, start building a coalition. The fact that we have 50 members, 25 Republicans, 25 Democrats that have agreed this is a good forward is a good first step.
Right, but I get that. But am I wrong? Am I misunderstanding the math here? My understanding of the math is you, Congressman Hurd, have to sell a majority of the Republican caucus, or Paul Ryan is not going to let that thing see anywhere near the floor because it might pass, which he doesn't want, unless a majority of Republicans support it.
Look, we are trying to get a majority of Republicans on this. We still have 50 hours to try to get this done before January 19th. This is something that we're trying to build support, so we can't stop. It's too important an issue. And also, as the member of Congress who has more border than anybody else, I have over 820 miles of it. Border security is important. We haven't gotten operational control of our border. We should do it in a smart way that leverages technology and manpower in order to ensure that we're protecting our homeland.
Congressman Aguilar, does your bill call for a wall to be built in Mexico to pay for it?
It does not. So that piece of the campaign promise, as we've heard, would not happen.
So then how are you going to get the president to sign it if the marker that he put down in rejecting the Senate version of this is that it's not what he campaigned on?
Well, the president's been all over the map on this, and you heard Senator McConnell mention that we just didn't have clear guidance. Well, I appreciate productive conversations with Chief of Staff John Kelly earlier today, and his legislative affairs team that was here up on the Hill. Clearly we want to see more out of what the administration would like to see, but in the absence of that leadership, we have to show that we're a co-equal branch of government, and that means that it's our obligation to put something on the president's desk, as he mentioned. So that's what we've tried to do here in a bipartisan, thoughtful way. Let's put a bill on the president's desk that fixes DACA and adds a smart, sensible border security component, and see what he does then.
Congressman, you said that you have more of the border than anyone else in the United States Congress. My understanding is that net inflows have reached a low in the last 10 or 15 years, if you look at that period of time. We've also increased border spending every year. If there's fewer border crossings and less people coming over, why do we keep expanding the amount of money we spend on it?
Well, so in the last year, we have seen apprehensions decrease, but what you don't know, you can't calculate. We can't see at any one point in time what is happening along our border. We know, for example, along our coast, the Coast Guard is only able to action 30% of the intelligence that they receive on drugs being smuggled into our country. That's a pretty terrible number. So one, we should make sure we understand what's coming back and forth. And again, I would rather use technology or a smart wall, which only costs about $500,000 a mile, versus a 30-foot high concrete structure that requires $24.5 million a mile. And for all those folks watching on TV that aren't math majors, that's a difference of $24 million a mile.
Final question for you, Congressman Hurd, since I have you here on the House Intelligence Committee, and you had a sort of remarkable experience where Steve Bannon came in and his lawyers on the phone with the White House. He was subpoenaed there on the spot. Fellow members of that committee, Republican and Democrat, have expressed frustration with Bannon's invocation of a very, very capricious executive privilege. Do you share that frustration?
I think that could have been better handled and better prepared before he came there. The American people deserve to understand and know what happened. And also, our conversation needs to be moving towards how do we prepare to deal with this in 2018. We've had a lot of conversations. We know the Russians tried to erode trust in our democratic institutions. And what is our strategy to deal with this in 2018? And this is something also that we're going to get it done in a bipartisan way. And it requires more than just the federal government. We got to make sure state governments are involved and the private sector and academia dealing with covert disinformation campaigns. So we need to be moving to that conversation because 2018 is just around the corner, or 2018 elections are just around the corner.
Representative Will Hurd, Senator Aguilar, good luck in your quest to get a majority of the majority. Thanks to you both.
Thanks, Chris.
Next, what happened in the nearly 10 hours Steve Bannon spent testifying behind closed doors. We talked about tonight details about the mid-testimony phone calls to the White House and what Bannon reportedly let slip about that infamous Trump Tower meeting back 2 minutes.
All In with Chris Hayes is sponsored by Dr. Scholl's Custom Fit Products.
Nick was born to move. 3 toddlers won't stop him, and neither will lower back pain. Because at a Dr. Scholl's kiosk, he got a recommendation for a custom fit orthotic to relieve his foot, knee, and lower back pain from being on his feet. Dr. Scholl's, born to move.
He's gotten used to his whole room smelling like sweaty odors. Yep, he's gone nose blind. He thinks it smells fine, but his mom smells this. Luckily, there's Febreze Fabric Refresher. For all the things you can't wash, it finds odors trapped in fabrics and washes them away as it dries. And try Pluggable Febreze to continuously eliminate odors for up to 45 days of freshness. Pluggable Febreze and Fabric Refresher. 2 more ways to breathe happy.
This is food made to sit down for. Slow down for. Put the phone away and use a knife and fork for. And with Panera Catering, it's food worth sharing. Panera, food as it should be.
The Sandias Music Festival is back for its 9th year. The Island-Time Music Fest in Isla Mujeres, Mexico. Catch a spectacular lineup of songwriters, singers, and musicians, including Mexico's own Jorge Blanco.
All proceeds raised go to support the Legal Yellow Schoolhouse, a special needs school for the children of Isla Mujeres.
Join Jorge and many more February 12th through the 17th for a unique, one-of-a-kind, 100% volunteer musical event.
Hey, come hang with me in Isla Mujeres.
Did you know there's a place where you can try out all the latest from Xfinity for your business? At the Xfinity Store. Here, you can learn how to get the most Wi-Fi coverage and the fastest speeds for your home with Xfinity XFi. Or find out how you can take your favorite entertainment with you. You can search across live TV, your DVR, on demand, even Netflix. Show me the wall. Hello. But don't take my word for it. Visit your local Xfinity store and see for yourself.
Stop by this great location or go to xfinity.com to find a store near you.
We've learned a little more today about Steve Bannon's testimony on Capitol Hill, and what we now know is pretty remarkable. Bannon spoke yesterday, as we know, behind closed doors at the House Intelligence Committee. But today, the AP is reporting that Bannon was less than forthcoming. The AP reports that, quote, Bannon's attorney, Bill Burke, was asking the White House counsel's office by phone during the Tuesday session whether his client could answer questions. Bannon's lawyer was literally on the phone with the White House as Bannon was being questioned. Unsurprisingly, lawmakers on both sides were frustrated by Bannon's appearance. The White House says the whole thing was just standard operating procedure.
That's the same process that is typically followed. Sometimes they actually have a White House attorney present in the room. This time it was something that was relayed via phone, and again was following standard procedure for an instance like this, and something that will likely happen again on any other number of occasions, not just within this administration, but future administrations.
It's unclear whether this was in fact a typical process. We do know that even with all White House efforts to keep Bennett quiet, he still slipped once. According to Axios, quote, Bennett admitted that he had conversations with Reince Priebus, Sean Spicer, and legal spokesman Mark Corralo about Don Jr.'s infamous meeting with the Russians at Trump Tower in June 2016. That meeting is a part of Robert Mueller's investigation. The same investigation that Bennett has now agreed to cooperate with. MSNBC legal analyst Jill Banks is a former Watergate prosecutor, a scandal that helped define executive privilege as we know it today. And I want to play you what Sarah Huckabee Sanders said from the podium and get your reaction to it about how this is negotiated vis-a-vis the White House's assertions of the privilege. Take a listen.
I can tell you that this White House is following the same practice that many White Houses before us have, that have gone back decades, that there is a process that you go through. Anytime you have congressional inquiries touching upon White House, the Congress should consult with the White House prior to obtaining confidential material. This is part of a judicial recognized process. We want to follow through that.
Is that your understanding?
The whole understanding of executive privilege is misunderstood here. First of all, executive privilege only counts if the president is receiving policy or political advice. It does not count if he's talking about how to characterize an illegal meeting or how to cover up a crime. That's the very clear holding of the tapes case in the Watergate. They said that we were entitled to those tapes because the conversations were not about policy or politics. They were about crimes. And that's what we really need to focus on more than who it is that was saying it. And the procedure, as far as I can tell, is really unique. I've checked with someone who worked on the Judiciary Committee, someone who worked on the Clinton impeachment, and no one has ever heard of a White House lawyer by telephone or in person telling a witness that they could not answer questions. If there's to be some negotiation between what the Congress is going to ask a witness in the White House, and the White House says these are certain things that cannot be asked because it's covered by executive privilege, then that's something that can be debated and ironed out. I would imagine if this is tried in front of Mueller, that it will end up in court, and the court will rule that this does not apply, that there is no executive privilege, and that the witness is going to have to answer the questions.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on that because we've news, the news yesterday was more subpoena ban, and now they've struck a deal. And it sounds like from the reporting that he's not going to try to make these same assertions. And what you're saying is, given the holding in the Watergate case, that the privilege can't be used to cover up the possible evidence of the crime, there's no way that would fly with Mueller or if the courts, if Bannon were to try that with Mueller.
Exactly. It is very clear in terms of a criminal case. The court said that in such a case, it is, I hate to use the word trumped, but basically the criminal prosecution is more important and trumps any claim of executive privilege. So it's very, very clear. And it doesn't matter whether the witness is subpoenaed or comes in voluntarily, his obligation to answer questions is the same, and his ability to evade answering questions is the same. He cannot avoid answering questions. He will be in contempt either way. So it's because there's been a lot of talk about, well, he's not been subpoenaed or he has been subpoenaed. That really isn't the critical issue.
I understand that obviously the Fifth Amendment, there's a right against self-incrimination. A jury trial, the judge instructs the juries not to impute guilt because their defendant didn't testify. But just in a sort of lay sense, there's something kind of that seems rather incriminating about the White House on the phone with Steve Bannon saying, "Don't answer that, don't answer that."
It seems incriminating in a normal, average citizen is going to draw certain conclusions from the fact that the White House is saying we're cooperating fully, but we're not letting witnesses answer. People are seeing that as a gag order, which it is. If the president has nothing to hide, then the facts will be able to come out. There's nothing that was said or done that would incriminate anyone. But that isn't what it seems like. But you're right, a judge in a criminal case would instruct a jury that if someone claims the Fifth Amendment, and that's not what's happening here.
No,
it's not the Fifth Amendment.
Yeah.
So he's not saying, Bannon is not saying I would be incriminating myself.
Right.
He's saying I would be incriminating someone else, and it would be the president.
Revealing
right.
privileged information or counsel I gave the
Right.
President of the United States. Jill Wine-Banks, thanks for your time.
Thank you for being back.
It's good to be back. Up next, hear what adult performer Stormy Daniels said about her relationship with Donald Trump and why her story could be just the tip of the iceberg. The details after this quick break.
This is the world that we live in now. People are angry, but it's misplaced. How do we solve that problem? If someone commits this crime, it's treason. If you commit treason, I think you should be impeached.
Alternative facts, climate change, gun violence, addiction. Guys, got missiles.
America, we have to talk.
So, that goal you've been saving for, you can do it. We can do this. At Fidelity, our online planning tools are clear and straightforward, so you can plan for retirement while saving for the things you want to do today.
You take something for your heart or joints, but do you take something for your brain? With an ingredient originally found in jellyfish, Prevagen is the #1 selling brain health supplement in drugstores nationwide. Prevagen, the name to
Morning Joe speaks truth to power.
Republicans know what's going on in this White House.
Is there a calm before the storm?
With access to the people who matter, from the halls of Congress to the Oval Office. Joe, weekdays 6 to 9 on MSNBC.
Fox News viewers came this close to learning a month before the election about the adult film actress that then candidate Donald Trump allegedly had an extramarital affair with. But Fox News reportedly killed the story. We now know that Stephanie Clifford, whose stage name was Stormy Daniels, claims to have had an affair with Trump beginning in July 2006. We might never have heard about any of this except for a Wall Street Journal report just last week, which said that Trump winner Michael Cohen arranged $130,000 for Clifford's silence 1 month before the presidential election. Now, Michael Cohen released a letter, reportedly signed by Clifford, denying the affair. The Wall Street Journal report sheds new light on what is now being reported about Fox News, that they had the story in October 2016, 1 month before the election, but shelved it. According to CNN, Diana Falzone, a reporter of Fox News, had an on-the-record statement from Clifford's manager at the time, Gina Rodriguez, confirming her client had engaged in a sexual relationship with Trump. She had the story, and Fox killed it. One of the people familiar with the matter told CNN. There are other outlets that were reportedly on the trail of the story before the election, but efforts to pay off Clifford and quash the story were apparently successful. But the story is, well, it's buried no more, because In Touch Weekly has now published excerpts from a 2011 interview, which the publication corroborated with 2 sources at the time, along with giving the actress a polygraph test. In that, she says her sexual relationship with Trump began in his Lake Tahoe hotel suite after meeting at the celebrity golf tournament in July 2006. His son Barron was a few months old at that time. According to In Touch Weekly, she said, "We had feelings of banter. He told me once that I was someone to be reckoned with, beautiful, smart, just like his daughter." The story might, under different circumstances, and there, if true, it was a consensual affair. But in Michael Wolff's book, Fire and Fury, Steve Bannon referred to another one of Trump's longtime lawyers. Bannon saying, quote, "Look, Kazowitz has known him, Trump, for 25 years. Kazowitz has gotten him out of all kinds of jams. Kazowitz on the campaign, what do we have, 100 women? Kazowitz took care of them all." In the event that is a gross exaggeration, Donald Trump is known for his love of non-disclosure agreements in business and in politics. There's been wide reporting about his campaign staff signing non-disclosure agreements. The iceberg of secrets next.
I no longer live with the uncertainties of Hep C, wondering, what if? I let go of all those feelings, because I am cured with Harmony.
Harmony is a revolutionary treatment for the most common type of chronic hepatitis C. It's been prescribed to more than 250,000 people and is proven to cure up to 99% of patients who've had their prior treatment with 12 weeks. Certain patients can be cured with just 8 weeks of Harmony. Before starting Harmony, your doctor will test to see if you've ever had hepatitis B, which may flare up and cause serious liver problems during and after Harmony treatment. Tell your doctor if you've ever had hepatitis B, a liver transplant, other liver or kidney problems, HIV, or any other medical conditions, and about all the medicines you take, including herbal supplements. Taking amiodarone with Harvoni can cause a serious slowing of your heart rate. Common side effects of Harvoni include tiredness, headache, and weakness.
Ready to let go of Hep C?
Ask your Hep C specialist about Harvoni.
Olay Regenerist shatters the competition. Hydrating skin better than prestige creams costing over $100, $200, and even $400. Skin that looks younger than it should. Fact check this ad and good housekeeping. Olay Regenerist. Ageless.
Itchy bands, digging wires, finding the perfect bra is pretty much impossible. But then I discovered Third Love. I took their Fit Finder quiz and found the best bra for my shape and size.
What's your perfect fit? Take our Fit Finder quiz at thirdlove.com to find out. Wow, Wayfair has everything.
Everything home, all in one place. So get it done. Visit Wayfair.com today. When you rent a car on Turo, you're renting from a real person. No shuttle rides, no waiting in line, no wandering a car lot. This isn't your typical car rental. This is Turo.
Every bottle of Palm Wonderful is packed with the antioxidants in pure pomegranate juice. Relentlessly ravenous, free radical, annihilating antioxidants. Palm Wonderful.
Dear adventurer, we know you. You're one of us. When you hear the word vacation, you don't think of watery beers on lazy beaches. You envision sweet summits and hard-earned high fives. Sweeping vistas granted only to those who work for them. You don't want to bark a lounger, and you don't want to lime in your beer. You belong in Bend, Oregon. Love your life a little more at visitbend.com.
Attention blood thinner users. Thousands of blood thinner users may have been exposed to serious risk by these dangerous medications. If you or loved one took Xarelto or Pradaxa and suffered serious internal bleeding, call 9-9 Legal to speak with an experienced attorney for a free consultation. If we don't win, there is no